Hello there, folks. Hey, this is Joe Wazoo here. Hey, in this video, we're going to set up a cell sled in a FlexEdge DA50 or DA70 device. So in this video, I'm going to pretend that I got myself a SIM card, and we're going to try to configure the cell sled to go online. A couple things you need to do before we get to the software part of this. First of all, you got to get a SIM card from a provider, and it's got to be a SIM card that's a data plan, preferably one with a static IP address. So if you go to your local Verizon or AT&T store and walk in and ask for such a thing, usually those stores won't have a clue what you're talking about, and they'll sell you a SIM card that goes into a cell phone, which is a different type of plan than what you need for one of these that is all data. So anyway, and I've got a couple custom companies that I'd recommend. One of the companies I've used in the past has been a company called Solve Networks. They're located here in Dallas, Texas, Richardson, Texas. Contact us. Let's see here. So right here's their phone number. Their website is just solvenetworks.com. I've had a number of customers that have went to them to get a data plan. It works out great. The price is pretty good, and it works out well. So this is one solution I would tell you if you're in the U.S. to get yourself a SIM card from these guys. There's probably other ones, but this is one that I've recommended people to call, and it works out great. So anyway, let's assume that you got yourself a SIM card from some provider, and you got it there, and you want to put it in. So you're going to first, here's a picture of a DA70 in this case. You're going to want to take apart, now if you're doing the DA50, you got to take the front face cover off, and you'll get to the sled carrier. The DA70 a little bit different because it has 3 sleds. You have to pop this finger here. Whoops. That wasn't what I wanted to do. Go back to where I was here. This guy right here. Well, crud. My tool went to the wrong picture. So anyway, you have to pop those 2 things off and open the sled. And then when you open the sled, you're going to put your SIM card, well, you're going to put your sled in there. Now, you're going to see here, team, that there are 3 antennas on there. And as a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull up my little picture. So there's the cell sled right there that you can get from Redline's website or so forth. And then you can also get antennas. Now I'm using these antennas here on mine. And just so you know where you can find those, on Redline's website, when you go there, go to products, and down here, if you go to accessories in this section here, when you click on that link, it should load, you'll get access to all these different sleds. And then if you slide down, it should show you all the cards and so forth, and the cell sleds are here. But the paddle antennas I'm using are these right here. This is the one that I have, the paddle style, which is this particular guy here. And so in the picture, here it is, and you'll see there's 3 antennas on there, or 3 SMA ports. The top one and the bottom one are your 2 cell sled antennas. You need at least 1 of those, team. 2 would give you a better signal strength. And the middle one is for a GPS sensor. So you can also put a GPS thing on there as well to check out. And Redline sells a sensor or an antenna that has all 3 in one if you want to buy it. It's a big ball, half ball monstrosity. But this is what I have here. And let me show you a couple things here. Let's see if I go through this correctly. So you can see, team, that I've got a SIM card here in slot number 1. It's hard to read, but this is SIM 1 and this is SIM 2. And the way these things work on here, you'll see the keyway in this picture here. There's a little metal slider bar here. So when the metal bar is to the left like this, you can lift this up and slide your card in. And then when you push it down, you're going to slide this metal bar to the right a little bit, and it'll lock it down. So that's what I'm showing here in these pictures. This one here is a Wi-Fi sled. This is my cell sled in my particular unit. So that's what I've got on my device here. So that's perfect. All right, let's see what else I got. Oh, one more thing. Since you have the thing apart, do me a favor and take a picture of the inside label that's on your DA70. Mostly because you're going to need to know the password that's on here to get into the unit, into the Linux part of this. So take a picture. I'll just show you some examples of some I have here. I got lots from people over the years. That was an interesting maternity, making paternity, plunging edginess, banner playgroup. Here's a picture of one in a DA70 out. Derby, familiar. Oh, that was interesting. Familiar gyration. And then this one here is interesting. So I got a lot of interesting passwords I've seen. If you've got any funky ones on yours, send them me. I'll add them to my archive. All right, so let's go back to our software team. Okay, so I got that back in. I got my antennas on there. And by the way, you should always do this with power off. That's my opinion. So I have power off, plugged it back into the DA70, and now I've applied power to the DA70. And I have an Ethernet cable connected to Ethernet 2 on the DA70. Because remember, Ethernet 2 from the factory is supposed to have this default IP address right here. That's what they're all supposed to come out of the factory now. Ethernet 2 is supposed to have that address. So that's what I've got set up on here. Okay. So in that case, all right. So I'm going to go do File New. By the way, this application, I just used this as a text to show you, but I'm going to do File New. Okay, so here it is, right here, FlexEdge DA70. Actually, you know what? Give me a second. I'm going to hit the OK button, whatever. But if you're connected to it, if you hit the Find Device, this button right here, if you're connected over Ethernet, it should go out and find it right here. I think I got another video that shows it, but here it is. I also have another device connected to Ethernet, but I'm going to click this. The reason I'm going to select this is because that points that at that device. Now, if I do a File New, watch this little trick. If I do a File New, you can manually pick what sled goes in what slot in this thing, or you can click the auto detect down here and watch this. I'm going to click it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Look, it went out and read from that unit that I don't have anything in this top sled. I got apparently a dual RS-45 port in number 2 and a cell modem in number 3. So I'm going to click the OK button in the lower left-hand corner. Perfect. All right. That looks good. All right. So over here on the left, let's go. Let me make this a little bigger so you can see it. On the left here, click on modem 1. And I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and under port mode here, under the first settings, we're going to set this up as a standard interface. Okay. Configures here. And then if I go to SIM number 1, that's where the card was in. If you have the documentation from your card, it might give you an APN number. You can put that in here. I'm going to show you a way that I cheat to make it find it. But anyway, you can put that in here if you want to. Okay. I'm going to come back to this, but I'm going to do it a different way here in a little bit. The next thing I want to do here is if you go to display page on the left, we're going to use this as a little tool. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the world. And I'm going to right click on this page and go to properties. And I'm going to change the background color from black to white. Click OK. And then I want to put on here a way to show me the IP addresses of my 3 ports. I say 3 ports because I have Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2, and I have this cell modem that might or should get an IP address because I have a data plan with a static IP address. So to do this, go to the lower right-hand corner and click System down in the lower right-hand corner. Expand your functions tree. Slide down a little bit. Expand your network category. And in network category, there's a function here called Get Net IP. The letters Get Net and then IP is in Paul. Do me a favor, grab that and drag it out here on the page like this. Go ahead and make that box a little bigger because it's going to have an IP address in it. And then because I'm old, I'm going to click away. I'm going to click on it one time, and I'm going to make the font much bigger by using this button here. Boom, 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 boom. And then I'll bold it. And then I still might make it a little bigger. All right. Now that you have one of them done, do me a favor and right-click on this guy and do a copy. And then you can either right-click and do a paste, or you can do Control-V as in Victor. But I want you to paste that for a total of 4 times on the page. Now notice something. If you double click on the first one, you can see that you have element 0 right here. Click the OK button. Do me a favor and double click on the number 2. I want you to put your cursor in here and change the 0 to a 1 and hit enter. That's going to look at Ethernet 1, which is actually the same as Ethernet 0, but that's all right. Go ahead and click OK. Then double click on the next one and change this one to number 2. Hit enter. And then double click on the last one and change that to element number 3. This will be the cell modem sled in this configuration. Okay, that looks good there. Now do me a favor, team. Go over to the lower left and go to the web server on the left side. And I just do this all the time. Rather than using the port 443 HTTPS, I'm going to hit the pull down here, choose TCP, and then go ahead and click the Features tab. Click on the Features tab here. And on Features, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to enable remote control, even though I'm not doing anything. I'll do it anyway. And then I really like the display mode of bare displayed scale. So I'm going to choose that as well. Okay, I think I'm set up here to do some testing. So I'm not going to save it now. It's fine. But since I am connected to it over Ethernet, I could just use the Shazam button. Or I can go down to the link, pull down, and go down to options. And you can see there's that IP address. You can always click the find button again. There it is, that guy right there. I can click OK, OK. And then this time I'll hit the Shazam button. And we'll go ahead and download to it. So let's see. All right. So I just downloaded to the unit. So now if I go over to my web browser, make this a floating window so you can see. So if you look, team, I put in Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, whatever you have, I put in the static IP address of the screen on that port number 2. There it is. Get some coffee down there. All right, if you click Remote View, you can see I don't have anything plugged into Ethernet 1. So these both are Ethernet 1, believe it or not. Here's Ethernet 2, we're talking to. This will be the cell modem. Okay, so I'm looking at the web page for this unit. If I go back to the main listing here, if you look over here, team, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a thing called System. So if you click on System, it's going to bring in this because we're going to a HTTPS page. Click the Advanced button, and then go ahead and proceed to this. And it's going to bring up here. Now, this is why I had you take a picture of the label. So you're going to want to type admin for your username. And the password is on that label. Now, listen, I have a lot of people, team, that can't type that, and you can never see it here, I don't think. So what a lot of people do, they'll type that correctly in Notepad or Word or something, and then they'll copy and paste that in here. Either way works, but because I don't think there's a way to see it here, so you got to kind of do that. So once you put that in, you should be able to click on that, and now you're into, let me make this bigger so you can see it, maybe I won't. You're into the system page. Now, if you look here, this is the home page, so I can see here, but my modem is down. Okay, now in my example, I did not put an APN number. So I'm going to click down here in the lower left. I'm going to click on modem 1 over here on the left. This is exactly the same settings you're doing in Crimson, but it's on the web server part of the FlexEdge. So here I am on modem 1. If I go to SIM1, notice here, it's got APN none. This is why I like to do this most of the time with cards, because people won't know what the APN number is, or they lose the documentation, or they didn't get any documentation. And we hope that you got a data plan. So if I hit the pull down here, now you saw, I think I still have it open. Yeah. You saw here, I think, if I go through these pictures real quick, I have a Verizon SIM card that's in there. But let's pretend I don't really know. So if I hit the pull down here, right here, I can go to AT&T, and I can pick one of these APNs. For instance, let's pick the broadband one, for instance, okay? Notice that it's changed here, but over here, I can click the button Save Changes. So when I click this, it's going to download it to the DA70 or the FlexEdge device, and it's going to attempt to use this. So if I go up here to the top and click the Home button here, should bring me back to the main listing. And if I look down here, it's trying. Now look at this. I picked an AT&T APN number, but if I look over here, now it says Verizon, and I got some bars. So if I click on the bars here, it brings up and says, hey, Jose, it's actually a Verizon card, but anyway, what I'm looking for is down here, did I get an IP address? No, I don't have that. Or if you check this button right here, that'll open up a little, what do you want to call this thing? A DOS prompt window, if you will, telnet type thing that goes through and shows you some stuff. The important thing here is it's not getting on the network. I see it talking, it's trying, but it's not getting an IP address. So I'm going to go back to the home button up here. There's many ways you do the same thing, but I'm going to go over here to the left and click on modem 1 again. Excuse me. Click on SIM 1. I see that that broadband didn't work, so I could go down here and I could try another one here. Yeah, what the heck? I'll try I2 Gold, for instance. And I'll hit the save button here, click OK, and I'll end up going through the same procedure again. You'll see the modem resets. Of course, you can click this here. It should eventually bring up the page. And you can click this button here. And you can see it's giving signal strength, all the blah, blah, blah good stuff. But once again, I don't have a static IP address. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time. Whoops, I'll go home. Go over here, click on modem 1. Go to SIM. I know it's a Verizon. So if you go to Verizon, you have all these choices. I'm not going to go through all of them. I've had people do that because you don't know what it is. I even had a guy this week in Mexico try to use this one, but he didn't have a data plan. So it never actually worked. But it didn't give him an IP address. Anyway, if I go to Verizon, and in this case, I know this is the one here. So I'm going to click this one just to show you, I think. I'm going to hit the save settings, say OK, just like I've done before. Go back to home, and well, let's go here. Let's click here on this guy. Oops, click here. Maybe I'm trying. There we go. I'll go down here, click here. Now look, this one all of a sudden, I saw a bunch of traffic that had a bunch of numbers there. And if I slide down, look here. This one actually gave me my static IP address. That's what I'm looking for. And now I'm actually connected to the internet. There's my static IP address on the internet of this particular unit. So now I can go to town and do everything else. I'm connected with access both for me to be able to send out messages, and if I set it up correctly, I could literally come into this IP address and get into this unit as well. So that's what it takes, in my opinion, to set up your SIM card. Oh, let me show you one more thing. So now that I have this running, I've got it all set up correctly. My Crimson database doesn't have these settings. So I got two options here. I have two options. I go over here to modem 1, SIM 1. There's that number. Now I could highlight this, highlight that, do a copy, right click and do a copy. And then I can go back to my Crimson here, and I can go over here to device configuration, SIM 2, and I think I can paste this. Now it stays in the database that way. That's one way. Or check this out. Since the DA70 is running that, but this Crimson configuration doesn't have that exact setting in it, if I go over here to the left, click on device configuration, slide all the way to the top, and if I click on device configuration on top here, I can click export or extract device configuration from device. So before I do this, I want you to see something. If I go to modem 1 here, I don't have any setting, right? Okay, so if I go back up to this here, I'm going to click this extract, boom, say yes. Theory has it, it sucked out that hardware configuration. Now if I go to modem 1, click SIM 1, there it is. And it clicked everything else. So I'm really much off to the races now, as far as I'm concerned. If you really want to get fancy with this, you could go over to programs over here. And on programs, you could create a program here, change this called About Me. And then out here, you could do a /*, enter. And then you could say my static IP address is, since I can't remember, I'm going to go back to this thing here. Whoops, not this guy. hold on, team, this here, and I'll go back to my home, slide down here. I wonder if I can highlight this. I want to highlight, right click, copy that address there. I'm going to copy that, and then I'll go back to Crimson here. I'll paste it in there like that, enter, and then I'll do a // because I made that little change about me. Notice the yellow diamond. If you click the translate or compile button right here, should save it. Perfect. Now that'll stay in the database for the next guy that comes along, wonders what's going on. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Now, if you want to get more fancy with this, I did get from somebody at Redline a widget that has a cell sled stuff. Let's try it out here. What do we got? So if I drag this little cell widget out here, you can see there's a bunch of errors. Let's not freak out about that yet. I didn't try this before this video. So I have another database here with it. And on this other database, if I go to data tags, I have a whole folder of stuff. So I'm going to right click. You'd have to get this from me. I'd send it to you. But I'm going to copy this cell status sled folder, go back to the database we're playing with. I'm going to go ahead and insert it here, paste. Okay. Then if I go here, notice all these say label. I think, team, if I right click and go to properties, oh, they're fixed. That looks good. This is the widget. I'm going to try, let me do this. Let me right click again and do bind widget. I'm going to grab this guy, boom, right there. Did it properties? Oh, it all linked. Okay. You know what it is? The font size is different. I wonder why that's. Anyway, let me go ahead and download this. I just got to see what it does. So yeah, sure. You know what? I'm going to override that because the database should now have it. So let's see what happens here with our thing here. All right. So it's still online. By the way, I'm still in the system part of Crimson. So of the DA70. If you want to go back to the part that shows the Crimson stuff, up here, click on Runtime, and it should bring us back to the old tried and true web server. Click here. And of course, I have to change all the fonts. But anyway, this gives that all the stuff settings for that cell sled. Like I said, that's a widget I got from somebody at Redline. If you want that database, I'll email it to you. It's got the widget in it, and you can use it. That's about it. That's my opinion of how to set up the cell sled on a FlexEdge device. The way I do it is using the online thing, the system here. That's the way I do it. So anyway, thanks a lot, folks. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you later.